And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the back to the Valley of the Judged. Fucked that up
Are
already.
you good? Are you good?
Yes. I don't usually do these on Mondays. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me is the three-eyed master of dad jokes, good brother Joe.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am here to say hello. Hi, everyone.
So, this was not part of the original plan, and then things got dropped on my lap and plans changed. We are doing a impromptu double shot of the Valley tonight. The first one that we're going through is something that I can thank Flutter for dropping on my lap when he posted this in the Discord. The Justice League Unlimited role-playing game. And I will note DC and Marvel both have a very interesting history when it comes to RPGs. In Marvel's case, you had FazeRip, which still has a dedicated following to this day. It wasn't called FazeRip originally; it was just called MSH. And almost made the same mistake as the Indiana Jones TSR game. They later fixed that problem. And after that, you had the Marvel Adventure game, or Marvel Saga. The Saga system is an interesting beast that used a playing card deck instead of dice, a concept I find severely underrated in game design. It was one of two games under the Saga system in '95 that did it. The other one was Dragonlance 5th Age, which was built on the Dragons of Summer Flame arc with Dragonlance. And that is as far as I'm going to go because I don't feel like doing a deep dive on Dragonlance today. That kind of thing is better left for guys like Mr. Mean Speaks. Then there was Marvel Universe, which is the red-headed stepchild of the group because it was a diceless game that they thought could compete with D&D 3rd Edition.
How diceless was it?
There were no... It was a proper diceless game. You did have power tokens. It was an attempt to take the whole power grid thing that Marvel was pushing at the time and put it in RPG form. And it was the only one that was directly published by Marvel instead of through AM, tabletop publisher. It was early 2000s. It's kind of a rough time because this was smack dab in the middle of the bankruptcy thing, which Sonnenberg aka SF Debris, has done a very good job going into detail about the state of the comics industry during that time. The events that led up to the speculator bubble, the bubble bursting, and how the empire fell and is still alive but never fully recovered. And on the other hand, with DC, the earliest attempt was DC Heroes, which was in the mid-'80s. And, you know, for as much as more bitches about the sequel and side stuff for Watchmen, I'm surprised he didn't bitch about the Watchmen campaign book that DC Heroes had. Now, DC Heroes was an interesting beast in the fact that it was built around having its stats be a unifying physics system. How well it succeeded at that is a matter for another time. Eventually, Mayfair Games, who had made it, lost the DC license, repackaged what they had as Blood of Heroes, and that's another entry that has had a dedicated following. After that, there was a long stretch of not much in the way of DC in role-playing game form. In the mid-2000s, there was an attempt to use the D6 system, which came and went very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was nothing for years until the mid 2010s, where we got DC Universe, which, for all intents and purposes, was a backdoor pilot for Mutants and Masterminds 3rd Edition. Especially since the core book for Mutants and Masterminds 3rd Edition would come out in less than a year, I think.
Mm.
Which is hence why I've called it a backdoor pilot. For those unfamiliar with the concept of a backdoor pilot, it is when a character or the like shows up in an established TV show as a testing bed to see if it can spin off into its own show.
Hello?
Oftentimes, they are a gamble. And when you gamble, sometimes you lose your shoes.
You mean like when Super Sentai and Kamen Rider do like sneak peeks of the next season?
Yes. Also, I have to correct myself. DC Adventures was in 2010. Mutants and Masterminds 3rd Edition was... Let me see if I can...
How many editions are we on now?
4.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah. The current one that's available is 3rd Edition. 4th Edition is being worked on.
Mm-hmm.
But the 3rd edition came out in 2011, so a year. Also, I find it amusing that its Italian translation was by Kaizoku Press.
They must have pirated it.
Now, after because that between 2011 and now, there hasn't been much in the way of attempts of doing a DC licensed TTRPG. No, I am not counting the Batman game by Monolith, because that is exclusively Batman, not DC.
Yeah, no other heroes are allowed in Gotham.
And that one was built on the foundation of the Batman board game, also by Monolith. Monolith is the same people who... It's in that same vein as what we saw with the Mythic Battles duology that we covered last month.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have an RPG that has a rule set that traces its origins to a board game. Which, as an aside, it is funny that I see people use, oh, it feels like a board game as a point of criticism.
Except TTRPGs are board games.
Yeah, we see plenty of board or card games that served as the foundation for a TTRPG. Like, I love Legend of the Five Rings.
Card game. Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I love Legend of the Five Rings to death, and that started as a card game.
There's even a TTRPG about people playing card games.
Yep. Perfect draw. We've covered that on this channel.
Now all we need is a TTRPG about people dueling with tops.
I have that. I have 2.
I'm joking, Mildra. I'm joking.
I know.
Don't tell me you have a TTRPG where I can split the Red Sea with the top.
Okay, then I won't tell you. You should know by now. I have something for everybody. But that brings us to this newest attempt, Justice League Unlimited, the role-playing game, which that name, I know why it's called that, but that name is going to give people a lot of confusion because they're going to think of the cartoon.
Yeah.
And this doesn't have a whole lot to do with that. It has more to do with the recent Unlimited runs in DC Comics.
Fair enough.
After yet another reboot of DC Comics. Seriously, how many has it been in the last 10 years?
5?
I think.
Someone correct me in the comments.
Now, I will admit I'm in a awkward position because one of the authors involved in this is Mark Waid. I will admit my biases. I don't like Mark Waid. I have strong disagreements with his attitude, and the way he's conducted himself in the past. However, those of you who are familiar with this channel will know that one of my policies is games, not names. Every game gets its day in court and is judged accordingly.
Yes.
This means I cannot play favorites even when it inconveniences me. Especially when it inconveniences me, because that's when one shows the having actual principles. And unlike certain game journalists or certain so-called commentators, I am not in the business of running things based off of solely intense sentiment. So this game and this quick start is going to get its day in court no differently than anything else I cover on this channel. And anyone who claims otherwise is not living in reality. So, now that I got the house cleaning out of the way, I will also note that this is made by D20 Culture, which is a tabletop group in Brazil, who, according to the GameFound link for the game, they are also working on a Ben 10 RPG, which I know you and I talked about and had some concerns just on the premise. But this is going to be their first foray into doing an RPG for the English market.
I will say that I do have a couple of ideas of how a Ben 10 RPG can work. I just hope they don't do it. But that's neither here nor there. Let's focus on this.
Yep. So, first they go into what this game is, then talking about how it is a game of heroes.
Yep.
And how to play. You're going to need it looks like we're going to be using the full range of polyhedrals.
No. There's no 10-sided die.
That is true, where you just have 6, 8, 12, and 20.
Which means there's no percentile. That's interesting.
Yep. So, the GM in this case is called the editor.
Oh gods.
Which is a very comic book thing to call him.
To call him?
You know what? That was accidental, but I'll take it. But it looks like the basic mechanic is D20 plus attribute plus bonus and compared to a target number. This target number is known as tension. And I know there's going to be some negative level IQ folks who will say, "Oh, that makes it a D&D variant." Anyone arguing that, please step forward so that you can be flogged as appropriate.
I'm not saying a dang thing.
And yes, I had to make sure to clip that.
Wait, what did you clip?
The whole flogging.
Oh, got it.
Because I have seen this kind of thing a lot, where somebody looks at a game that uses a D20, regardless of context, just the fact that it uses a D20, and says D&D variant. Which is just not true. That would be like saying Fading Suns is a D&D variant, even though, yes, it uses a D20, but it doesn't use it anything like D&D does. Anyway, so the editor is basically the GM. Uh, then we go into, then of course, the heroes. And then the first concepts. The core concepts. So a session is called an issue. And I like that they put in, it ends at the perfect moment of tension with a to be continued in the next issue feeling.
Sorry.
And scenes, which is a narrative segment. Those of you who are familiar with more narrativist games will be familiar with the concept, especially if you played a lot of World of Darkness games. Then the tier setup. The tier is they refer to it as a level, but I feel like this is tiers in the same way that you have a tier system in Wrath and Glory. It's more about the scale of heroics that you're dealing with. So, E, ordinary human. D, the beginning of meta activity. Novice vigilantes, incidents involving low-scale powers. C, urban level, capable of wreaking havoc on an entire city. B, powerful enough to trouble a nation, facing small armies and possess advanced abilities. A, global level, capable of interacting with and impacting the entire planet. S, legendary level. The mere mention of the name is enough to shake the universe. So, let's do a little bit of character association based on the tier scaling that we have here. I'm gonna go from bottom to
who's
top.
the Omega level mutant?
Yeah, I'm gonna go from bottom to top, and you tell me a character from any sort of comic book that you think would fit that particular tier, based on what we see here.
Any sort of comic book or in the DC universe?
It might be a bit of a bottleneck to go with just DC, so let's go with any comic book, period.
Okay.
So starting with E.
Oh, starting with E. Well, that would be Condiment Man.
Okay.
He has no meta abilities. He exists.
You're not wrong.
He is a basic threat. D, beginning of that would be any of the beginning sidekicks or just D-lister themselves. So I'm thinking they counts. That's more urban. Someone who is just starting out. So I would want to say like an early Robin or just no. I got it. A Planeteer.
Okay.
They don't really fight crime. It's the beginning of their meta abilities, and they don't really do much by themselves until much later.
C.
Iron Fist and Power Man.
All right, the good old heroes for hire.
Yeah.
B.
Powerful enough to trouble a nation. Ooh. I would want to say this is where you have the level of not all of the big three, but just like Wonder Woman and Batman. Just like they are right at that B level in terms of this scale.
Yep. A.
This would be where Superman rests.
S.
Hi, Dr. Manhattan.
All right. But after that, we go into attributes. So your core stats. In this case, we have 6 attributes: potency, accuracy, agility, resistance, mind, and spirit.
Okay.
You also have resolve, which is meant to be... It seems that resolve is meant to be your ability to keep fighting. So this is your both... It seems to be your both HP and stamina. That's an interesting choice. It's resolve based on your tier base value plus your spirit value. And then conditions. You have 5 condition boxes. When resolve runs out, you mark a condition. When an attack does 10 or more points of damage at once, you can choose to mark a condition instead of losing resolve. I like that part there. Oh, so the conditions are tired, scratched, -2 to d20 rolls, injured, -4 to d20 rolls, wounded, apply disadvantage to d20 rolls, and defeated, you're out of action. So you're not completely screwed over if you run out of health. I think what this is really going to depend on is how easy it is to get resolve back. Because I wouldn't want this to turn out like fantasy RPG styles of hit points. I don't think that would fit the, well, fantasy. But then we have powers. There are 3 categories of powers. Superpowers, which include mutations and abilities derived from biology. Martial training, which covers everything from staffs, bare hands, to ranged weapons like guns. And technology, which, when sufficiently advanced, is distinguishable from any superhuman ability. Each power has grades ranging from 1 to 5, limited by tier. So let me see.
Thanks,
1,
Clark.
2, 3, 4, 5. So it's clear that the approach we're going with is the grades. If you're an E, you don't have any powers. I think it would be capped at 1 at D, 2 at C, and so on. I could be wrong though. We'll see as we go. But I do like that there are broad categories for powers. I hope that this means that it doesn't fall into the trap that a lot of Supers games fall into, which is putting the powers in one big dumb list.
I really hope not.
So then we have plot points. When things are dire, you can call for the oldest forces known as the universe, the plot.
That is the greatest superpower of them all.
It's almost like it's channeling Robin Hood Men in Tights going, wait a minute, that's not in the script. Let me see that.
I get another shot! He gets another shot. He gets another shot.
So, you start out with 0 plot points. This can be acquired through the use of abilities and at the editor's discretion. Whenever you pull out of a dangerous comic bookish stunt, you can get it. Using plot points may stress the very foundation of the universe, triggering the crisis die. And you know, crisis and DC and the DC universe means a very specific thing. But
yep,
you can use it to guarantee success. Or not only do you succeed, you do so in spectacular fashion. Or you can spend it before rolling to add 5 to the result. Plot armor. You face a blow that should have been the end. Spend a plot point to completely negate an attack or effect that would have targeted you, describing how you narrowly escaped. Rewrite the script or retcon. Change a fact already established in the story.
Not retcon. I hate that character.
Introduce one of the following twists. I prepared for this. You reveal that you have been carrying a specific item, not a superpowered one, all along. Luckily, I know someone. An old ally or contact unexpectedly appears to offer help. Wait, I know their weakness. You remember a crucial detail, revealing a new temporary limitation on the villain.
So Batman, and Batman. Good to know.
The power increase. You push beyond your limits. Spend 1 to 3 plot points. For the rest of the scene, each point spent, treat one of your powers as though it were 1 grade higher. At the end of the scene, mark a number of conditions equal to the number of points you spent.
Holy Zenkai boost, Batman.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Although maybe I should be comparing it to Kaioken.
True.
Mm-hmm. See. Introduce a fact. Add a convenient detail to the scene. Spend a plot point and declare a plausible fact about the environment that gives you an advantage during that scene.
I am not left-handed.
I actually wrote a feat for once for D&D that was called that. It was basically a way to cheat when it came to fainting rules. But the editor has their own way of shaping the narrative through editorial points. Whenever a player uses a plot point, an editorial point enters the editor's arsenal. The editor may hold a maximum number of editorial points equal to the number of players and can only spend one per scene, ensuring that their use remains impactful without becoming oppressive. You can put in an editorial complication. So the ones we have are editor's note. You add an immediate twist to the scene. This is my true form. Oh god, it's this is not my final form.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Or he has a new trick. The villain reveals they have a power or piece of equipment they had not previously made use of. And they do show the crisis die, so the crisis die result table, but I think it's a little bit early to show that when they haven't explained what the crisis die is.
True.
You can also use it to do a villainous monologue.
No.
Pauses to make a speech. They reveal part of their plan or mock the heroes. When they speak, the heroes are momentarily paralyzed by the drama. At the end of the monologue, the hero recovers all of their resolve points. You caught me
Then
monologuing.
he started. Oh. And then he started monologuing.
Mm-hmm. Or introduce a surprise element. A mysterious figure enters the scene, not necessarily an enemy. They may be a rival of the villain, a civilian with a secret, or a third faction.
Not the secret third option.
Mm-hmm. But then the crisis die is a d20 that features 20 random and often catastrophic twists.
What a twist.
When you overuse the power of narrative, the universe reacts. At that point, the crisis die is triggered. Whenever a player uses a plot point, they must roll a d6. If this result is equal to or inferior to the number of plot points used on that issue, a crisis die is triggered. The editor rolls 1d20, compares the result to the table on page 7, and applies the relevant effect. After that, plot points cannot be used again during that issue. So now when it comes to that, I get what it's trying to do. The only thing that I think is not necessary is the after that plot points can't be used again. I think that's a bit of a bottleneck.
I mean, I suppose you could phrase it too. Instead of never use it again, you can only use it by for once a certain period. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like once per session or some such like that.
Well, keep in mind an issue is a session.
Oh, got it.
I think you're thinking of once per scene.
Yeah.
And while there are some interesting effects on it, I think the thing that I'm not fond of is it almost it feels like the way the crisis die is here, it almost encourages conservative use of plot points. Uh, if anything, especially especially since you're using it every single time you spend a plot point.
Mhm.
So, I get what the intent with the plot point and crisis die setup is supposed to be. I just feel like it's a little too punishing.
A bit.
But so then they go into character creation in brief. First, you define the tier, the scope of the hero. For this one, they're using tier D and C. Then you choose an origin, which the 3 origins that are available are human, Kryptonian, and metahuman. Then you choose an archetype. The archetypes in this quick start are Champion of Tomorrow, Dark Knight, Genius, and Enraged. Then distribute
Welcome
attributes.
to the world of tomorrow.
Do you have to do that every time? Haven't you heard of a little thing called showmanship? Then distribute attributes to your basic talents. Minding the cap, as we see here. So it looks like I was somewhat wrong about the power grade limit, since with both of these, your resolve is either 12 or 15 depending on tier. Your defense starts at 15 or 18. Attack bonus is 1 or 2. Damage die is D6. Attribute limit is 6 for Ds and 9 for Cs. Your power limit is grade 2. I know some people might look at this and see D&D style class progression. I don't think that's accurate.
I see what you're talking about, though.
Then choose your powers, then determine knowledge and traits. And then final detail. It goes into tier, which we've already covered, and packs, which is your full potential. Packs is currency used to buy powers, knowledge, traits. This is basically your advancement points. So it does appear we're doing a XP as currency approach. And each attribute increases 5 packs for H plus 3. Interesting. Power increase is variable. Traits is 4 to 12 packs. It probably depends on trait. Knowledge is 4, and resolve is 2 packs for every 1 point.
Interesting.
Which makes this a bit easier of a XP distribution than we've seen in some cases, where the cost really adds up.
Like, the way that they're doing this reminds me of how White Wolf does things, but it seems a lot more forgiving. But I also don't know, like, how easy it is to accrue packs.
Obviously, then it goes into the attributes. And then we have origin. Your origin has a list of predefined powers called a power kit. You can choose 1 grade and a power from that kit for free. It is not impossible to gain powers that are not typical of your origin. Whenever you do this, the power costs double the packs per grade. Humans are the exception to this rule and cannot buy any powers from outside of their power kit. So the human power kit is martial training, technology, and technology. You cannot purchase powers outside of that kit, but you do get 1 knowledge and 1 simple trait. The Kryptonian power kit is energy blast, invulnerability, enhanced resistance, enhanced senses, super strength, super breath, superhuman speed, and flight. You also get Blood of Krypton. You get a bonus to potency and damage reduction equal to your tier. Whenever your tier increases, both the bonus and the damage reduction increase as well. And metahuman. If metahumans are individuals who possess the metagene, since no two metagenes are alike, the variety of powers available to metahumans is virtually limitless. They come in all types, shapes, and sizes, and are most commonly found on Earth. The metahuman power kit is superpowers. I'm not sure if the... I feel like there should have been a divider so that people don't think metahuman is part of the Kryptonian origin.
Yeah. Like, I also think that they're kind of like limiting themselves. Because your only choices here are human, metahuman, and Kryptonian.
At least for this quick start.
At least for this quick start.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully when they come out with the full thing, you also get like some other power sets like Alien, for example. And like Kryptonian is a part of that, where it's just like different aliens have different power sets. Case in point, the Martians, the Tamaranians, things like that.
Yep.
And then also your more supernatural backgrounds, like Children of Trigon, or just a magic lineage.
Or, and well, some of the Children of Trigon I could see as an origin. Someone who uses magic I could see as a archetype.
Well, I mean, fair, but I mean, origin-wise, like having a magic background. Case in point, like Zatanna and Zatara being of a magical family, or he who is descended of the Laughing Mage.
Yeah, though I wouldn't put, say, Constantine under that, because he wasn't born with magic. He just learned it, and pissed everybody off in the process. But now with archetypes, you get at tier D, you get 2 abilities from it. First one they have is Champion of Tomorrow. The examples they give are Superman, Black Lightning, and Wonder Woman. So, if there isn't a Amazonian origin in the full book, I will have some very pointed questions to ask.
Like, they don't need to be crafted by the gods, but they could still be an Amazonian, you know?
Yeah. So you have Code of Conduct as one of your setups. If you break your Code of Conduct, you lose all your resolve points. So set the example. Whenever you leave a villain wounded, you must offer them a chance to surrender. Render unto Caesar. You follow the law of humankind and must not place yourself above justice. And protection. You must always prioritize the rescue of innocents. As long as people are in danger in the game, you must save them before doing anything else.
Is that a quote from something? Like,
no, I don't think so.
Render unto Caesar. Interesting.
But then the archetype abilities are inspiring presence. Once per round, if your allies can see or hear you, you can spend 3 resolve to inspire them. All allies gain a bonus equal to your tier on the next roll. No one gets left behind. Once per scene, when an ally or civilian would suffer damage, you may instantly move to them, intercepting the blow or hazard that would harm them and taking damage in their place. Regardless of the amount of damage, you mark 1 condition. and classic heroism. In a rescue scene, you do not spend resolve when taking your first action. This ignores the rule that every activation must cost at least 1 resolve. And then truth and justice. Once per scene, you may spend 4 resolve to count as having scored an automatic success on tests involving revealing the truth, exposing the unseen, or uncovering corruption.
Ah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the question.
Yes. Then Dark Knight. Obviously, examples are Nightwing, Batman, and Midnighter.
I'm not familiar with Midnighter.
Mm-hmm. So you get feet on the ground. While others fly, shoot beams from their eyes, and command the elements, you have other ways of fighting villainy. The only powers a Dark Knight may have above grade 1 are martial training and technology. And your archetype abilities are I am the Knight. Once per scene, as long as no one is looking at you and you are not restrained or prevented from moving, you may disappear and reappear in another adjacent zone. Martial artist, you have grade 1 martial training. Utility belt, you have a belt with exactly the right gear for any situation. Need to reach the top of a building quickly, you have a grappling gun. Need to lose your enemies, smoke bomb them. Once per scene, you can spend 3 resolve to gain a suitable item that lets you overcome a challenge narratively. And prep time. You possess special training, a contingency plan, or some other extremely useful skill that helps you at the last possible moment. Once per issue, when you use your prep time, you gain 1 plot point. Then we have Genius. The examples they give are Mr. Terrific, Electron, and Lex Luthor.
Okay.
Though, because of overthinking, you suffer disadvantage on your initiative rolls.
Oh, but I need to plan everything meticulously.
Let's see, with the Enraged archetype, the examples they give are Big Barda, Kilowog, and Hawkman.
Those boozers.
I feel like calling it Enraged is a little bit misleading, because I think when people think of this, they're going to think of a Berserker. All 3 of those characters are not Berserkers. They're certainly the muscle in a lot of situations, but I wouldn't call them Berserkers.
True.
And when it comes to powers, your origin defines what powers are within your reach. In addition, each power has a PAX cost indicated in its description. This cost refers to 1 grade of that power. For example, if a power is a cost of 3 PAX, you must spend 6 PAX to have it at grade 2. When you acquire a grade in a given power, you gain all the abilities listed in that grade unless otherwise specified. So with using powers, there is the activation, then the resolve cost, and some abilities have the passive descriptor, i.e. they're always active. So duration can be either turns, rounds, or a given scene. Each grade provides a set of abilities, and a hero of that grade has access to all of them. These abilities have an activation, which indicates the number of actions spent to activate them, and a resolve cost in their description. Some are passive, which means they do not require activation. They have either continuous or specific effects that happen without requiring you to spend actions. So grade 1, the whole neighborhood. Grade 2, the whole city. And the categories we have, again, are martial training, superpowers, and technology. Martial training is divided into 3 categories: Martial Master, unarmed combat; Swordsman, melee weapons; and Marksman, ranged weapons. At grade 1, you learn 2 techniques from that grade's list. With each new grade acquired, you may choose 1 more technique from any grade equal to or lower than your current one. Techniques may be active or passive. Which, if it's the case where you're getting 2 techniques at each grade, or rather 2 techniques at the start and then 1 more... Oh. I would really hope that there's a way to get additional techniques by spending packs without going up in grade. Otherwise, that might be a little restrictive. But at grade 1, you can acquire 2 grade 1 techniques. Only one of them can be passive. Then we have what those are. At grade 2, you can get 1 technique at grade 2 or lower. Same thing with Martial Master and Marksman. I see what it's doing, but there's a part of me that would like to see an ability to get additional techniques by spending packs. So you're not stuck with just 3 techniques total at grade 2. You could expand more horizontally. But when it comes to superpowers, it appears that this is going to be the broadest category. In my opinion, maybe too broad. We have Animal Mimicry, which is 3 packs per grade. When using it, you get a number of animal adaptations equal to your grade, spending 1 resolve per activated adaptation. These last for the scene. And let's see, is it a similar thing for elasticity here? Let's see, body has no fixed form. The sky is the limit. Like, if you take grade 1 of elasticity, do you just get all of this? And then more for grade 2?
That's a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
How does this work?
And then we have elemental manipulation, where it doesn't say how many of these abilities you... I think you're supposed to get all of them at each grade. The exception to the rule is martial, but I don't see why it has to be an exception.
Oh, each grade provides a set of abilities, and a hero of that grade has access to all of them. These abilities have an activation, which indicates the number of actions spent to activate them. Okay, so when you have the get the grade 1, you get all of those listed under the grade 1. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, then that raises further questions about why the martial side of things doesn't do that.
What do you mean? Swordsman, for the grade 1, you get the singular weapon, 2-weapon fighting, sudden charge, violent attack, and defensive stance, and precise attack.
Not quite. With martial training, it states that at grade 1, the hero learns 2 techniques from that grade's list. With each new grade acquired, you may choose 1 more technique from any grade equal to or lower than the current one.
I guess you can, like... So... Because under grades, it says you get access to all of them.
Apparently, Martial Master is the exception.
Okay.
Or martial training, I should say. And I don't understand why.
I guess because it has a lot of means to, like, not alter it, customize it?
Perhaps. But if that's the case, I really think there should be a way to, as I mentioned before, a way to spend packs to get additional techniques, even if you're not increasing your grade.
Maybe you can?
I'm hoping that you can. Otherwise, the martial side of it is going to be seen as a bit restrictive. And if you're playing street level heroes or martial arts based heroes, that's going to be a problem.
It's like elasticity, there's only like 3 abilities under grade 1.
Hmm.
So you would get all 3.
Yeah.
Whereas animal mimicry, you have 4 abilities, which hmm, that still outnumbers how much martial training gets you.
Hmm. But when it comes to technology, uh, we have exoskeleton. Uh, you get 2
Okay.
improvements from the list and get 1 more for each improvement. Uh, grade 1 effects cost 1 resolve. Grade 2 costs 2. Grade 3 costs 4. Grade 4 costs 6, and grade 5 costs 5. Or sorry, 8.
And no, grade 8, grade 5 costs it, yeah.
Yeah. If your resolve reaches 0, your armor enters emergency mode, disabling all of its improvements until it's recharged. So, with
But
this,
how many do you get?
um,
Oh, choosing 2 improvements from the list.
mhm.
Again with the number 2.
Yeah, 2 at the start, and then 1 more for every time you get a new grade.
Okay.
With these kind of things, I think the problem that I have is there needs to be a way to develop horizontally
Yes.
with these ones. Now, with some of them where where you get the whole thing each time you go up in grade, that's for things like say superhuman speed over here or elasticity. That's perfectly fine. But with things like exoskeleton or the martial training ones, I feel like that's a little restrictive.
I'm sorry, I read ahead a little bit and I'm very boggled. I'm gonna wait till you get there.
Yeah. Then we get to knowledge. With it, if you don't have knowledge on a particular subject, you're unable to make any test on that subject. Each knowledge costs 4 packs and grants all the abilities listed on that field. Possessing a knowledge is enough for a hero to be considerable force in that area, a true expert. So knowledge, it looks like it's basically our skill system.
So,
Although,
knowledge of acrobatics
mhm,
gets you climbing,
mhm,
an automatic jump, and free running.
yep,
Interesting.
it looks like this is a skill. This is akin to a skill system, but you either have it or you don't. And more of a skill package. I don't think you're meant to improve it beyond improving traits.
Hmm.
So I'm perfectly fine with that. Um, I've seen games where you have scalable traits and scalable powers. It gets to be a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to weapons, they are either martial weapons or ranged weapons. Each one costs 1 packs each. Uh, when using a martial weapon, you do +1 damage. When using a ranged weapon, you do +1 to attack. Each ranged weapon has range. All ranged weapons have a close range. Any attack made at another distance has disadvantage. You can increase the range to far for 5 packs. Uh, there are also special materials that they bring up, such as nth metal and kryptonite. Uh,
Look how much kryptonite costs.
mm-hmm. 5.
5 pack.
Yep.
Okay, like that's only going to be useful against one very specific person
Mm-hmm.
or like group of people. So it's like for 2 less, I get nth metal, one of the strongest metals in the in the DC universe.
Which a
Huh?
weapon made from this material grants flight grade 1 to its wielder.
And then there's promethium. which ignores damage reduction.
Yep. And we have gear, which costs 1 pax each. Each gear has 3 uses, which recharge at the beginning of each issue, and using them requires 1 action. Um, I'm not sure if I feel like, especially given the cost of it, 3 uses per issue I think is a bit restrictive. Either increase the amount of uses, or lower it down from issue to scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes into traits. Traits are meant to be the answers to important questions about your character that are not covered by powers or knowledge. What do you have? Who do you know? Who are you? What can you do exceptionally well? They have a few simple traits which cost 4 packs each. Traits seem to be a almost miscellaneous feat-like thing, each of them costing 4 packs. And on the other hand, you have limitations. Every hero worth the name has a weakness. No one is completely invincible. When choosing a limitation, do not think you're weakening your hero. As a rule, every archetype offers 1 limitation, such as the enraged side effect. But beyond that, every player must choose 1 more limitation for their hero. When you're exposed to that limitation in a narratively important moment, they suffer a consequence. The editor is the final arbiter of when a limitation is activated, but players are encouraged to roleplay their own weaknesses. And the consequences of limitations, it could be you have the vulnerable status. You occur a negative status when exposed to a certain condition. Your powers are temporarily turned off. You move up 1 level on your condition track. Or you're unable to use certain knowledge or traits in specific situations. But like I get what they're doing with having 2 limitations like this.
It does make sense.
Mm-hmm. But then they get into rolling the dice, which we already covered. Advantage and disadvantage are exactly what it would sound like. If you're familiar with a lot of D20 based games, you're familiar with how this goes. You roll 2 die and either keep the highest or the lowest. It is interesting that you can do advantage and disadvantage on the damage dice. At least advantage on the damage dice.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go into actions. Doesn't say how many actions you get. I'm hoping it's not a case of move action, base action, and bonus action or something like that.
Hopefully they cover that later.
Mm-hmm. Tension, as mentioned, is the target number.
Mm-hmm.
I do like we have different target numbers for different tiers.
Yes.
That is certainly a nice touch. And let's see. If you roll a critical success happens on a natural 20, of course, or if you beat the DC by 15 or more. On the other hand, if you roll a natural 1 or fail by 15 or more, that is a critical failure. Though I do like that they call critical successes splash page and critical failures editorial cuts.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you can spend You can spend resolve points on a 1-to-1 to do a close call, basically to turn a failure into a success, but you can't do
Mm-hmm.
it on editorial cuts. Though the fact that so much stuff relies on your resolve is part of the reason I think resolve should be something that you spend fast and get back fast.
Yes.
Let's see. So they go into combat, self-explanatory. Okay, you have 3 actions, so not far removed from Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Yeah. So essentially, you have 3 action points. Essentially, that's kind of how I prefer to read it, as opposed to just 3 specific actions.
Mm-hmm.
And from the
So,
looks of things, you can like bank a action to use a reaction later,
yeah, which
which
I'm.
I don't hate.
Mhm. So, attack is d20 plus accuracy compared to defense. Self-explanatory there. I do like that we have different defense values based on tier.
Mm-hmm.
Now either your agility, resistance, spirit, or mind can be added to your base defense. If you use active defense, which you can only use 1 at a time. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
So, dodge adds agility to defense. Block adds resistance to defense. Which makes me wonder, is it going to be a case where you just have your base defense value unless you use an active defense? If an active defense is just adding one of your stats to defense value, I feel that's kind of lame.
Mm-hmm.
But damage is tier damage die plus indicated attribute. They go into types of damage. And it seems each one is associated with a different attribute. Physical with potency, energy with spirit, or spirit or potency, magical with spirit, and psychic with mind. So then they go into conditions, which we already talked about, as well as the condition track. Then fighting without resolve. When your resolve is depleted, you become vulnerable, and if you suffer 1 point or more of damage, you must mark 1 condition. In addition, each multiple of 10 taken while vulnerable marks 1 additional condition. Then they go into a few statuses that you can get. And then going into movement. So movement is going to be zone-based, which I'm honestly fine with. Doing full-on grid combat in this kind of thing would be a very bad idea.
Very annoying.
But the distances are either adjacent, close, far, or distant. And the target distance determines how many actions required it takes to get up close. Powers like super speed or speed force. I am glad that they separated those two.
Yes.
Can let you spend movement actions with a lower requirement to get to adjacent. Ranged attacks reach targets at different distances. And you, as mentioned, you have 3 actions in a round. Though, let's see. A splash page, which we already covered, then multiple attacks. You can take multiple attacks, but you suffer a cumulative -5 for each one. Let's see, then activation, which has a variable cost. Then dodge and block, which we covered before. Then extend range. You can spend 2 resolve to increase the distance of a ranged attack by 1 distance. Why is disarm 3 actions? That seems a bit much.
Yeah, that's like taking your everything just to like take a weapon out of their hand. What?
Let's see then. Cover and now defend taking 3 actions. Okay, I get that. You're focusing solely on defending an ally. I can see that being a full turn action. But then it goes into the Doomsday Clock, which is basically the kind of clock system that you see in like Powered by the Apocalypse games. We also have heroic actions. Basically, these are actions you can do once per turn, and a moment of danger. And we have heroic effort. In a rescue scene, you can go beyond your limits. This allows you to mark 1 condition to receive an extra action on your turn or recover resolve equal to your tier base. So there is a way to restore resolve, but I don't think that's enough. And the fact that you do have to mark a condition to do it when it's just on your tier base, I think that's... Well, let me scroll up a bit and go back to what the base resolve was. Because if it's what I'm thinking of, then maybe it isn't as much of an issue. So, give me a moment. I do apologize for my PDF scrolling going a bit slow.
You're fine.
Here it is. So your base resolve is 12 for D tier and 15 for C tier. So I guess that is the amount you'd end up getting. Which, if that's the case, then that's a little bit fair of a restoration. On the condition that it is easy to recover condition. Or, I won't say easy, but there's ways to recover. Because I've mentioned before that when you put in a limited resource in the game's mechanics, there's going to be a tendency to be conservative with that resource.
Yes.
The way that you mitigate that conservationism is by giving people a reliable way of recovering that resource. We very much saw that with Draw Steel, where no matter what, you have ways of getting that heroic resource back. If you play to the class's kit, you have ways of getting it back even faster. Which, if you're playing to your role, you're going to be doing anyways. But they give a few examples of heroic actions. And then recovering resolve does take an interlude moment where you recover, you can.
So from the looks of things, it's essentially a long rest.
Yeah, I feel like that's a bad habit that got carried over.
And then if that rest is interrupted, you only get half of your resolve. So how much resolve do we get again?
All spent resolve is recovered at the beginning of a new scene. But you need to go through an interlude moment to recover your resolve points.
Yeah, and how much resolve do we get initially?
12 or 15, depending on tier.
Okay, so it's not that bad? Question mark? Like, you go through an entire, like, fight, you use your resolves, and then essentially that's the scene. You have your little roleplay moments. That's enough to recover your resolve. And unless the editor is particularly evil, they won't immediately throw you into another fight. But even if they do, you get half of your resolve, which means there's still things you can do. And you're also not using up all of your resolve in a fight anyway, because if you're at zero resolve, you're kind of shit out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that bad. I'm gonna keep telling myself that. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Then they go into the threats and villains. It looks like different tier threats have different condition boxes, along with resolve, defense, and special abilities. Looks like, and it's mainly showing tier. That's supposed to be D or Z? I think that's supposed to be D.
Tier D, yeah. No,
All right.
wait, hold on. Let me double check. Going down.
Yeah, it's tier D. Yeah, it's D because then they have tier C.
Yeah.
And the tier seems to determine how many condition boxes the threat has.
Yeah.
And villains, regardless, have 7 condition boxes. I do like that they say, as editor, you will need to use the villains in a cunning and, to be honest, unfair way.
I like that their examples are Captain Boomerang and Talon.
Which demonstrates that they're not going with the obvious entries, even if there was that period of time where they were desperately trying to make the Court of Owls a thing.
Like, if I remember correctly, they said tier C is like threatens the city level? Urban level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, individuals capable of wreaking havoc on the entire city. Yeah. Which, yes, Captain Boomerang and Talon, with the backing of the Court of Owls, do count.
Mm-hmm.
Though I kind of wish that they chose someone else aside from Captain Boomerang, because he's a Flash villain. He's going to hold back.
Yeah.
Unless something particularly goes south.
Yeah. After
Or
that,
he's not in
yeah.
Flash's city. Anyway, sorry.
After that, it goes into a sample adventure and a few other sample threats. One of them being Parasite, who is tier 3.
Wait, why in this picture do they
No,
have
tier
like
C.
an energy construct of the Flash in the center?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yep. And Eradicator as a minion. So, and they describe it as a weaker version of the original Eradicator, which makes sense.
Yeah, you can't expect the D and C listers to take on the Eradicator.
But the sample characters we have are Bulwark, who, let's see, what has powers of super strength and enhanced resistance.
Sounds fitting.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Nexus, who has the powers of technology, technological spheres, grade 2, functions, scan, and lasers. If it's tech spheres, I'm immediately thinking of something akin to Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
Uh,
Where? I'm sorry, I'm trying to find where these characters are listed, but I can't.
page
Oh,
54.
never mind. I found it. I found it.
Yep, and not Supergirl.
I. Okay, that's kind of smart.
Yeah.
A photographer on her way to a costume party dressed as Supergirl. Sophia became trapped in the subway during initial attack. It was there that she awakened her powers. In a panic, she unleashed a wave of energy and temporarily disabled the Eradicator.
Mm-mm. Powers are Energy Blast Grade 1, Flight Grade 1, Force Field Grade 1.
Catchphrase, I'm not super. Oh, God. Why are you keeping the costume?
Yeah,
It's a
but
nice introduction. It
mhm,
really is, but
mhm,
anyway.
yeah, but overall, before I get into my thoughts, what do you think of Justice League Unlimited here?
They really need to explain better with their powers. But aside from that, I think it's interesting. It's not bad as like a quick start.
Hmm.
Like it gives us a nice little peek into what they're going for. I am very curious how they're going to handle certain power sets if they're going to make them available from the get-go. Case in point, Lantern or Magic. Because like you could explain any of these superpowers as magic, sure, why not? But that I feel like that's the cop out right there.
It very much is. And that's a common thing I've seen in a lot of Supers games of having magic be a stand-in for other powers. So you're using powers through another power, powerception.
Yeah.
Uh, if I had to guess based on what we've seen here, I wouldn't be surprised if magic was its own category, which honestly is the way it should be done.
Yes.
Um, I think one of the big problems I have here, and this is a problem I
Hmm.
had with a previous project that was covered on this channel. I'm not fond of the idea of Resolve being essentially HP and MP at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of thing is going to result in people being conservative. And while this isn't a D&D variant, like I'm pretty sure some cynics are going to say it is, there are some bad habits that it has. It's clear that one of the bad habits is resource drain through encounters. Like,
Hmm.
because of the way it's set up, it really feels like they expect you to lose a certain amount of resources for each combat encounter. But that's not really something you can do with superhero RPGs, where
Yeah.
where the type of adventure you're going to be doing is even more limitless than fantasy or sci-fi games.
Like one day you're in a prehistoric valley fighting against dinosaurs as well as robots trying to take over the dinosaurs. The next, you're in space trying
Hmm.
to hunt down a bounty hunter because they captured one of your friends. Hmm.
Hmm.
And then
Now,
you're suddenly trying to decide what kind of pizza you want when you're resting.
yeah.
That's the big adventure right there. No one can decide.
Now, I know some people will look at the archetypes as being too akin to the to certain DC characters. I don't think they're going to have that problem. I think it really is going to live and die on the variety of origins and archetypes. At the same time, however, I think locking easy power sets to origin
Hmm.
might result in some bottleneck problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially the whole you can spend if you try and spend for powers outside of the list, then you have to spend twice as much packs.
Hmm.
I get what it's doing, but given that you're the top cap on how much you can get is going to be pretty limited based on grade. I think a smarter approach to do it is that the ones that are tied to origin only cost half to a minimum of one.
Like this entire thing really does feel like they're taking notes from White Wolf,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't a bad way to do it, not really. It's just I don't know. It feels the more I'm
There's
staring at it, the more it just feels off, you know?
I think that offness is the fact that there are ports where it feels a little bit restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
And I get I in a lot of White Wolf games, you had that concept of you have a budget of points for each step, and then bonus
Mm-hmm.
points that you can spend to get over a cap in certain cases.
Yes.
With this one, you have a starting amount of XP to spend in the form of
Mm-hmm.
packs, but I think the the thing I mentioned before about having to spend twice as much for unorthodox powers, that is going to create a problem. I really think that should be swapped out for the ones that are in your origin. You only have to spend half, because I think that's going to encourage you to cap out something from that angle, and then spend powers on other things. Basically,
Like
encourage more variety.
the way that this feels that you're explaining it, it reminds me a lot of the writing game writing exercise jump chain,
Hmm.
where you're given a set amount of points, and if after you choose your origin, you spend within your origin, you get a discount, but you're still able to buy outside of your origin for the full price.
Yes.
So, like, if they did something similar to that, that would be great. You would have very obvious capstones for things, or at the very least, you'd have a limit. Like you could buy a whole bunch of powers within your origin and probably still be very good at what you do, or you could buy just the ones that you want from your origin and then go off the walls and be really creative. Like, I want elemental mastery on top of being someone who does martial arts things so that I can have flaming weapons for whatever reason. Why? Well, I'm also going to be undead and ride a motorcycle so I can have DC's answer to the Ghost Rider.
Yeah. In addition to that, one of the big burrs up my ass about the power system we have here is why martial mastery is so constrained.
Yeah.
Martial mastery and a few others, um, I really think need a way to expand horizontally by spending packs.
Like, I it still bothers me that like they say, "Oh, in the martial mastery in these three categories, choose two techniques." Okay? And then you may choose one more when you increase a grade,
Hmm.
or from any grade equal to or lower than their current one, whenever you get a new grade. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay, cool, great. So that means at a C grade hero who goes for martial training gets three abilities or three techniques.
and when you
Nice.
contrast that with the pool of abilities that you're getting from the superpower category, it's a bit problematic.
Like you're you're kind of very heavily limiting the street level heroes,
Hmm.
or at least anyone who wants to go for these, for like the Batman style build, unless in martial training you're getting, like, you can get for the price that you're paying, you're getting like two from swordsman and two from martial master, for example. Like you can pick both of them for the cost in order to like really expand your pool.
Hmm. But even with that, the fact that you can't expand horizontally, I feel is a problem.
Yeah, like you have so many options. What if I want to do two weapon fighting and single weapon fighting? Suddenly,
Or
I'm kind of shit out of luck.
oh, what if somebody wants to do something akin to Lady Shiva,
Right?
who is a straight up martial artist? That is her whole thing is being a very skilled martial artist, usually unarmed,
Hmm.
and has bounced between hero and villain over the years because of those talents.
Heck,
But
I just want to be a random Tibetan monk. There we go. Like my people trained Batman. I know ancient techniques.
yeah, which I do have a feeling that things like magic and psychic are going to be their own categories.
They
It,
better be.
because there is a real possibility to do something not far removed from the old City of Heroes with this, if they take the right approach. So, my grade on this is right now cautious optimism.
Yeah.
There's I
Yeah.
see the vision, but the old habits need to be cut.
No, 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 no. The Vision is Marvel. This is DC.
That is fair. So we're going to take a break for a couple minutes. So get your drinks, get your snacks, hydrate if you need to, dehydrate if you need to. We will be back in a few minutes with Twilight Sword. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I will note this is a beta version of the core book that recently released to backers, including me. Uh, so there's going to be a lot of artwork missing, squares within the book. Now the page count is 202, but because of how single column it is, almost in the manner of a old game manual.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, it's not going to be as dense as it might appear.
We'll get our calories elsewhere.
Also, as an aside, I'd like to take a moment to chastise tabletop journalists and content creators. How the fuck did people think Final Fantasy when they looked at this?
Looks more Breath of Fire, in all honesty.
I could see Breath of Fire. I could see Breath of Fire, but the biggest one I see is Zelda.
Well, yes.
But there are people who are saying that this was drawing upon Final Fantasy. I know that it's brought up in some of the text, but I do not see it.
I think that's because you've been staring at Final Fantasy for a good long while.
But now this doesn't have bookmarks, but this is a beta, so I'm not going to hold that against them.
Oh my goodness.
So it is set in a fantasy world that has been menaced by the Scourge. To oppose the reign of the Scourge, players take the role of champions, brave heroes who depart on a dangerous journey to bring back hope to the lands. They cite as inspirations Legend of Zelda, Dragon Quest, Wonder Boy, and Monsterland. There's a deep cut. Final Fantasy, Ni no Kuni, and the animated movies of Studio Ghibli. One of these things is not like the other things. Now, if they had said NES era Final Fantasy, I might be willing to go along with that, but that's as far as I'm willing to go. But after that, they talk about traveling the world. It is the champion's duty to travel the lands and search for adventure everywhere they go. Not only do they discover new places and explore dangerous landmarks, but especially to offer their help to those who need it most. Traveling plays a crucial role in Twilight Sword, as champions need to keep moving in order to visit new regions and free them from despair. Uh, you okay there, Joe? You muted.
I muted because some asshole with the really loud motor decided to trigger all of the car alarms in the area.
Ah, let's see. Then fighting monsters is one of the other things. Bringing hope to the lands. Um, which is one of the main themes of the game and is a meter of your champion's experience of their impact on the lands.
Mhm.
I'm going to zoom this out a bit so oh, that is way never mind, that is way too going to be way too small for the stream. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
game uses the cat system, or created at Twilight. Most actions use a single D12. You're also using D4, D6, D8, D10, and D20. And going into core concepts. Then the fact that it's playing in rounds, either be combat rounds, standard rounds, or extended rounds. So 10 seconds, 10 minutes, or an hour. Um, most of the time, you don't need to keep track of rounds. Nice. And then we get to champions.
You are the champions, my friend.
Yeah, knew that was coming. And I will note with the description of champions that they give, I'd be willing to grant them the Final Fantasy comparison, but only one. Everything else is a bit of a stretch.
Which one?
The first one.
Oh, only one. Got you. Got you.
But when it comes to building a champion, which I will admit that I definitely enjoy the art style that they've got going here, and we
Mhm.
have playable giant Pingu. So you choose your name and origin, choose your kin, you note your kin feat, uh, distribute your ability scores, calculate hearts and stamina, choose your way. Way is the closest thing to a class. Choose a feat, note your starting gear and armor, randomly determine who gets the boon, and set hope to 1. And this is a very nice compact character sheet.
Mm. Let's see. Huma are your human, guessing. Except, elves.
So let's see, the who are you?
Keddy.
Um,
What's a
the
Keddy?
I think you're a bit ahead of me. There's the origins.
Oh, sorry.
Um, so either awakened, you're basically an
Hmm.
amnesiac. Stranger, you come from a different land. Chosen, you were born into humble beginnings and you were chosen to become a champion. Heir, you're the heir of an ancient champion or a hero of legend. Unknown, you're a diamond in the rough. Uh, and for the kin, you have Huma, Kedi, Pengu, Strix, and Toluna. There might be other kin in future supplements. So yeah, Huma is going to be our stand-in for Hylians, clearly. Um, and Kedi are our catfolk.
Okay, there we go. Oh, nimble catfolk. I see it now.
Hmm. Let's see. Pengu are our giant penguin folk. They get +3 hearts and they can endure cold 1. I like the Pengu already. They are northern fishermen.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm
Clearly.
guessing they don't use rods
No, it looks like they'd rather catch fish barehanded.
or bare beaked.
Mm-mm. Uh, then the Strix. These look like black mages in the
Oh, okay, okay.
in the OG setup, but I'd also say they look like the hooded version of the Moonfolk in Dark Cloud.
Hmm.
But I think they're trying to be the quote unquote black mage race. Um, they knew 2 arcane spells and have night vision.
And
Uh,
then there's the big buff ones.
yep, the Toluna, who kind of remind me of the Soleil in Sword World. Uh, but I think these are meant to be a nod to the Gerudos, although with a very Polynesian bent to them.
Hmm.
Uh,
I do appreciate that. I really do appreciate that.
yep.
That and, there's also males, as opposed to the Gerudo, who only had one.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers. No.
Statutes passed, but they get physical prowess, so they get +1
Mhm.
stamina and can endure hot 1. So they're meant to be the polar opposite of the Pengu, and both
Mhm.
of them, I guess, would favor fishing.
Yeah.
It's just different kinds of fish.
Yes.
Uh, then you have 8 abilities. Some of these might be skills in other games, but here it's just straight abilities, which I'm perfectly fine with. Strength, agility, vitality, perception, will, knowledge, charisma, stealth.
Which tells me that we don't really have skills, we just have these stats.
Yep. Your ability scores range from 5 to 10,
Nice.
and you can either freely distribute 56 points, minimum 5, maximum 9, no more than 1 can be 9, or you can use the
I
starting
appreciate
score
that.
setup. A
I
5,
appreciate that.
2 6s, 2 7s, 2 8s, and a 9.
Something you're really good at, something you really suck at, and everything else is kind of in the middle.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a game that's favoring people using a variety of skills rather than doubling down on 1 or 2.
Mhm.
I say skills, but that's just out of habit. You can increase your ability scores up to 10 by getting training feats during advancement. And your maximum hearts is equal to 10 plus your vitality. You can get additional hearts by choosing the Pengu kin, getting certain feats, or acquiring a heart stone. So I guess we're not doing pieces of heart, we're just doing heart containers.
Yep.
You can get temporary hearts, self-explanatory. You also have stamina. Your maximum stamina starts at 3. You can get additional by picking Toluna, getting certain feats, or acquiring a stamina stone. You can spend stamina to gain advantage on ability roll, activate a feat, or cast an expended spell. Then armor reduces the amount of damage taken from attacks. Your armor depends on the armor you're wearing. So armor is soak. I always like when armor is soak and not dodge.
Right?
Because yes, who's going to be dodging and weaving all the time in full plate?
Well, actually, it's supposed to be the armor deflecting the blow. Well, that means it still hits now, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. But your way, this is the closest thing to a class.
Mm.
Your way gives you access to starting gear and a list of potential feats. I know it would be tempting to look at this and think of PBTA style playbooks. I don't think that's what we're going with. Each feat is a unique talent that you have as a champion. When you
Okay,
pick
I
your
like
way, you
this. I
choose
like
one
it.
feat. Some of them may require stamina or taking an action, others are passive. And the ways we have are Blade, Magic, Light, Wild, Shadow, Song. So essentially, Fighter, Mage, Cleric, Ranger, Rogue, and Bard.
Yes,
Okay, not exactly, but you get, but
we
point
get.
still stands. Uh, let's see. By collecting hope, you can advance. When you collect 4 hope, you can make an addition. You can take an additional feat from those offered by your
Oh,
way.
so hope is your level.
Hmm. Hope is XP, though it doesn't look like you're spending it. Uh,
No, just accumulating it.
hmm
That's why I akined it to level.
I could I could see that. Every 4 points of hope that you get another advancement. Instead of taking an additional feat, when you make an advancement, you can follow a second way and pick a feat from its list. You don't get the starting gear from the second way, and you can't do a third way. Which this means that we have a stupid easy multi-classing.
Yes, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm. So the first one we have is the Way of the Blade,
Mm-hmm.
where you're definitely going to be using melee weapons. Your starting gear is 2 old weapons, padded armor, and 3d6. I'm going to call that Zenny
Sure.
until I see otherwise.
I mean, it makes sense. But also, I wonder if you could technically use bare hands with the way of the blade.
I would imagine so, because it seems Way of the Blade is for those who really want to do melee combat.
Yes,
Uh,
which
you know,
makes a spin attack of just basically a hurricane kick.
uh, of course, if I'm doing it, I'm going Way of the Blade and using a staff or a
Oh, true, 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 true.
or um the monk's spade.
Ah, yes. Or the three section staff.
Hmm.
Gods, I remember the monk's spade back in 3.5. My goodness.
I was channel I'm I was channeling to both Jade Empire as well as Gojo in Gensamon and Sayuki, where he had a monk spade that had a hidden chain.
Well, no, no, no. I understand.
Hmm.
It's just that my first interaction with the monk spade was like a laundry list of monk weapons from an arsenal book.
Hmm. Yep. But Way of Magic is the spellcaster. Ah. Though it looks like what is considered arcane spells is going to be in a later spot. And given the starting gear for it, it looks like we have multiple types of currency. Uh, then Way of Light, which is very much the cleric, as mentioned before. Though I'd say this is more priest than cleric, because I don't see anything akin to turning.
I also don't see anything I can consider clothes. My goodness.
Uh,
Though I do love the art style. Don't get
oh
me
yeah,
wrong.
uh, yeah. none of us here are rejects from men drawing women. Seriously, have you ever seen that subreddit? It is full of the most catty ass motherfuckers I've ever seen.
No, I haven't, but one of my favorite projects back on Tumblr when people was the Hawkeye project, where they basically redrew Hawkeye in every single female comic book cover pose.
Uh, though it looks like they have their own form of magic in the form of blessings. I
Yes,
am hoping that arcane spells and blessings have some slight differences is in terms of how they work.
hopefully.
Yeah. I've never been a big fan of when games have divine and arcane mages work the exact same. But then we have the Way of the Wild, which this is definitely a ranger, but it's a ranger that doesn't suck ass. Especially, like, you can see some of the ranger DNA with this, but but because of both the multi-classing stuff and the fact that classes are so restrained in this, I don't think you're gonna have the same problem that you do with the ranger archetype.
True.
Uh,
I think I rather like the fact that, like, even though a number of their abilities focus very heavily on ranged weapons,
mhm,
you could still utilize melee if you wanted to with some of these, so that you could mix and match them with like Way of the Sword or something like that in order
mhm,
to kind of have that kind of mixed attacker
mhm.
who does melee and range.
Yep. Then we have the Way of the Shadow, which is exactly what you think it'd be. Uh, I d- and yeah, looking at some of its stuff, you can see how certain ways might um, work with each other very easily.
Mhm. Like Way of the Shadow could work with Way of the Arrow with throwing weapons. At the same time, Way of the Shadow could work with Way of the Sword in
Hmm.
order to be a more agile melee attacker. Things like
Hmm.
that.
And obviously, any of them could work with the two caster types we've seen so far.
Oh
Then we
yes,
have yep,
Way of the Shadow and Way of Magic. That way
mhm,
you can sneak attack with a fireball.
yep.
Exactly.
Um, then we have Way of the Song. So this very much is our bard equivalent. Um,
Mhm.
and it is
Make a charisma roll.
yep, very much a support archetype. Um, though this could combo well with Way of the Sword, especially with feats like sword play.
And Dancer.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So this combos well with actually any of the uh, other ones, not just Way of the Sword, but Shadow and Bow as well, because Finesse hmm,
Mm-hmm.
would probably also be a throwing weapon as well, or anything like that.
Oh yeah. And that's something I really like with what I'm seeing here.
Hmm.
The yes, you could double down on on an individual way, but the ways here combo with each other very easily. And it's not a case where where each of them has one other way that it's meant to combo with. There's multiple approaches you could take. And given what I wrote with Legend Edition, you know that I love multiple approaches to a problem. But
Mm.
then there is the boon. Um, you can only have one boon, and you can use it to either score a critical success, even if you've already failed the roll, save a
Nice.
champion who's about to go KO, including yourself. That champion doesn't suffer KO and recovers 1d12 hearts, or recover all your stamina. When you use your boon, you become the protagonist of an epic scene that highlights your valor and resolve. Perhaps you feel new energy flowing through your body as you get back up on your feet to fight against all odds, or perhaps you're moved by the suffering of your friends and finally unleash your righteous rage. Uh, each champion can only use one boon per session, even if they gain another during the same session. Uh,
And only one person gets one. Unless there's a large party.
mm-hmm. If there are 5 or more champions, you can assign an additional boon to a different champion. Uh, I feel like there was a way that I could do the random boon thing in a way that that makes everyone else sweat. What immediately comes to mind is, okay, everyone draw straws. Either that or imagine this. Take a playing card, draw the first card, put it down and say, okay, everyone guess what value the card is. Whoever guesses closest gets the boon.
Fair enough. I mean, I think what I would want to do is not tell someone they have the boon. Instead, I would, like, in a particularly dramatic moment or at a moment where it's like one of these things could be utilized, I would point at someone and then tell them, hey, by the way, your character can do something really cool right now. And then,
But
like, have it be some kind of, like, mystical element or something.
oh yeah. Then, when it comes to gaining a boon, a GM should consider assigning a boon when a champion is the protagonist of a scene that changes the story, makes everyone at the table celebrate, cheer, or cry. Oh God! I can hear a certain Imagine Sumo in the distance.
My strength has made you cry. I have gained a boon. Wipe your tears off with this.
Resolves a difficult situation against all odds, makes a great sacrifice or selfless act of love. You should only grant a boon under extraordinary, glorious, or memorable circumstances, and never more than once per session.
So no farming boons.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. All champions share this. When it comes to hope, all champions share the same hope, and you track it on their sheets. Whenever you raise or lose hope, you do it together. At the beginning, your hope is set to 1. Once per session, a single champion can sacrifice 1d4 hope and immediately gain and use a boon. This can take your hope to a negative number.
Oh. Oh.
Didn't say that you lose benefits that you've accumulated, but
but it would mean that you would take a lot longer in order to regain, like, to gain new abilities.
Mm-hmm.
What are these watermelon pig things?
I don't know what they are, but I find it cute that they are essentially playing a tabletop game using natural elements.
But... No, they're not pigs. Those little masks are their eyes. Okay, cool.
Mm-mm. So then we go into how to play. I love that one of them has a helmet and shield. Like,
that's the LARPer.
There's always that one guy who's way too into it.
Yeah, we call them the DM.
Yeah. I'm also, for some reason, reminded of those instances that I've heard from people who are in the Marines, where whenever it comes to tasks when there's nothing going on, there's always that one guy who's way too invested. while everybody else is just killing time. But then we get into how to play. You are rolling a d12 as your core roll.
What?
You are the d12 finally gets some love. And you are rolling low. You're trying to roll under your ability score. A 1 is a crit, a 12 is a botch.
Okay.
Obviously, advantage and disadvantage work the way you'd expect. You can apply a maximum of +3 or -3 to your roll, and you can only have one advantage or disadvantage. The bonus or penalty cap is an interesting move.
Yeah.
Of course, one guy brought snacks and is hoarding them for himself. But if you roll a 1, that is a critical success. If you roll a 12, that is a critical failure, as mentioned. If you're doing an opposed roll, it is a case of both you and your opponent make a roll and compare the results. If you succeed and your opponent fails, you win. If you both succeed, whoever got the lower result wins. If you're facing a monster and you fail, the monster wins. If you are facing a champion and you both fail, you can either repeat it or call it a tie.
They took PvP into account.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, then distances are divided into 4 ranges: close, near, far, and too far. So it looks like we're dealing with more abstract range in this case, which is fair, because this really doesn't feel like a game that would suit 5-foot grid. And the approach they went is melee weapons can attack close targets, thrown weapons can attack close or near targets, ranged weapons can attack up to far, but suffer disadvantage when attacking close. What, you don't like firing into melee?
Like throwing fire into melee.
Then, with fall damage, it can be either 1d12 or 2d20 damage. Either of those could be particularly nasty. If you fall from too far, you lose all your hearts and suffer the KO status effect.
Ah, yes. Insert the Link death scream as he falls.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they make it very clear that they're using Theater of the Mind. When it comes to combat, first they have rolling initiative. Each champion and monster rolls d12 to determine their position. It is lowest to highest. As far as ties, if multiple champions roll the same result, they get to decide who goes first. If multiple monsters roll the same...
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot! Rock, paper, scissors, shoot!
If multiple monsters roll the same result, the GM gets to decide. If a champion and monster roll the same result, the champion always goes first.
Ties favor the player. Good to know.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that it's just a straight initiative roll, just a straight roll of d12 and not any modifiers.
Well, I mean, maybe there'll be like some modifiers from items or something like that. But even then, it probably follows the same rules of no more than a +3.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, then escape, surprise, and sneak attack. So, if you have surprise, you have advantage on initiative. If you are taken by surprise, you have disadvantage. Then, with sneak attack, you make a stealth roll to approach without alerting them. If you succeed, you attack with advantage. Sneak attacks always ignore armor and cannot be parried or dodged.
Oh, thank you. Benefits for sneak attacks without it just being damage.
Mm-hmm. And after a sneak attack, the fight starts and everyone rolls for initiative. Champions have advantage to their initiative roll if the sneak attack was successful. that's the case, then having someone who has the Way of Shadow is going to be very, very valuable.
Don't mind me. I'm just gonna sneak attack from a distance with my bow and just. Good. Okay, we
Mhm.
all get advantage. Let's go.
Mhm. Let's see. We do have a setup of hearts for breaking stuff. Uh, us- as well as solid stuff. Uh, if I'm being honest, whenever it comes to doing HP damage to objects, I usually just skim that because I don't want a situation where somebody's trying to break down a door but can't because they didn't do enough damage. But then, so during your turn, you can do a movement, you can do an action. Once per round, you can take a reaction. Pretty standard fare.
Mhm.
I personally, I'd probably be a little more liberal when it comes to using reactions.
And then there's
Uh,
the free actions, and
mhm.
then yeah.
Yeah. Uh, you can have up to 3 weapons, shields, or items on you that are considered equipped. So that means you could have somebody who is the walking arsenal, who's just not very good at defense.
Behold, I am the Zorro of shields. I have one on each arm and one in my mouth. Ting.
Mm-mm. Uh, let's see. Then deal when it comes to damage, it is die based. If you roll a critical, that is double damage. Monsters and NPCs do not crit. If you're fighting
Ooh.
unarmed, your attacks do 1d2 damage, and you can only attack close monsters. If you have
Aw.
strength 8 or higher, you do 1d4 damage,
Huh. I
which
guess they don't really have anything for people who focus on unarmed attacks.
not yet, but that I could see that changing or somebody house ruling that.
Fair enough.
And I'm immediately thinking of how to do a Way of the Fist and having different martial arts styles as weapon slots. But when you take damage, you reduce your hearts by that amount, minus any armor you have.
Hmm.
Uh, if you're at 0, you suffer the wound status effect and have to make a will roll. If you succeed, you hang on and continue to fight. If you fail, you are KO'd.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Uh, then the setup for monsters. So their hearts, stamina, and armor. Their threat level, what the actions they have, and any passive abilities. And we have a example with them. And because of the fact that it's listed on 1 through 6 like this, I think you could theoretically do this GM-less. Just have it that that when it's their turn, you're rolling 1d6 to see what you end up trying to do. Which is a nice touch. Um,
Hmm.
Now, the threat level of a monster apparently determines how many turns it can take during a single round. For each of its turns, it must make a separate initiative roll.
Oh.
That is interesting. Uh, let's see, when it comes to... So bosses have multiple cards. There are also elemental variants of monsters that are tougher than regular counterparts.
So, that kind of
Mhm.
makes sense. Essentially, it means bosses get multiple turns, which I like,
Mhm.
actually.
Yep. And it looks like you are meant to have actions random. Uh, Either roll a d4 or d6 and choose an action from the list. All monster actions that deal damage are considered attacks. Many of them do not require a roll for hit. You only roll for damage. if the monster action has a number written next to its name, the GM has to roll a d12 and score equal to or less than that number to hit. So not everything is automatically doing damage. This isn't, say, Draw Steel, which has the race when it comes to how it does damage, as we saw.
Mhm. Ooh, status effects.
So red actions cannot be parried, blue actions cannot be dodged. I do like the color coding we've got here.
Yeah.
Then choosing targets, always random and with some exception. Then instead of rolling each turn, you can activate a rotation. Starting from the second turn, the monster will perform the next action on their list and will continue onward until the rotation is broken. Groups
So
of
the
monsters share the
bosses
same
have
routine.
very obvious attack patterns. Good to know.
That is a option. I could also see that an option that favors GM-less play.
Yes.
Or,
And then a
for that matter,
monster's
solo.
rotation breaks whenever the monster spends diamond or a champion lands a critical hit. Huh. Yeah, I guess if something disrupts the pattern, then it would, like, start over at a different spot, I think.
You know, not far removed from if you get punished in the middle of a combo.
Or if you knock the enemy down and then they have to get back up again. Because you're never going to keep them down.
Ha! But we have the whole thing of status at a cost and removing status effects as well as multiple ones. And then resting. Once per day, you can rest and recover all your health and stamina, recharge all your spells, and remove one status effect. To properly rest, you need to eat and sleep in a safe and comfortable place like the home of a friend. Otherwise, you can pay for an inn with the right amount of zenny, or you can make camp.
Oh, apparently it's called Zin.
All right.
But so you weren't far off.
So then, once between rests, as long as you're not KO'd or exposed to direct danger, you can take a short rest to recover 1d12 hearts and 1 stamina. Alternatively, you could choose to recover 2d12 hearts, 2 stamina, or to remove 1 status effect. You can also recharge 1 expended spell, or you can forgo your short rest to look for ingredients and components. And then we go into
what?
Then we go into items and weapons. Let's see if they can make a crafting system that doesn't annoy me. So you do have encumbrance. It is equal to, you have inventory slots equal to double your strength score.
Okay.
If you carry more, you are encumbered and suffer disadvantage on all rolls. So it's a case of, so we do have Zin as the currency. These are basically our equivalent of rupees. 100
green, blue, red. There it is.
Yep. 100 green Zin make 10 blue Zin or 1 red Zin.
I wonder why it took them this long to talk about it, or at least explain it. Like, I understand wanting to use the symbol for money, but, like, at the very least, tell us what it means first before you start flashing it at us.
Yep. And you can, when you buy something, it's at full price. When you sell it, it's at 25% its value.
Makes sense.
And with each of the items we have here, with certain exception, it shows us how many inventory slots it takes.
Well, they also talk about very rare Zin that's silver and gold.
So, we already So with melee weapons, that uses strength, unless it's a finesse melee weapon, which uses agility, and ranged weapons use perception. It's a very nice touch. Also, shields are also considered weapons and let you parry ranged attacks. Shield bashing is back on the menu, folks.
Oh, but what about shield throwing?
I'm sure there's a way to do that somewhere, and if not, it could be easily house ruled.
Behold the shield boomerang! Ha ha!
Mega Man Zero would like a word with you. But let me have equipped weapons. You can have either 2 identical small weapons as a single equipped weapon, or a single heavy weapon. I think this is for the purposes of the rule of 3.
Mhm.
Which means if it's 2 identical small weapons, you can imagine someone having like 6 daggers or something.
Behold, I have 6 boomerangs!
Mhm. And boomerangs here can be thrown up too far. Unless you botch it, they always come back.
Boomerang, you came back! You always come back!
Accurate is +1 to attack. Arcane, you can shoot up to far and deal 1d4 damage. Elemental does extra elemental damage. Defensive gives a bonus to parry. Finesse, you can roll agility to attack with it. Heavy deals double damage to objects. Magic, you can cast spells, though it looks like you might need a catalyst to use magic. Small, you cannot parry. 2 equipped small weapons of this type count as 1 equipped weapon. Small ranged weapons ignore disadvantage when shooting close, so there's your firing into melee. Thrown can be thrown within near, rolling strength. When you throw a finesse weapon, roll agility. You need an action to retrieve a thrown weapon. So, 2-handed, maybe used with 2 hands. Versatile. When used with both hands, it counts as a 2-handed weapon and does +1 damage.
They have claw weapons.
So you do have the infinite arrows option if you don't want to do that kind of bookkeeping. Nice. And given the starting amount of hearts that you have, this means combat is going to go pretty quick. Because the weakest weapon is 1d4. Remember, you start with 10 hearts plus whatever you get from your abilities. So a couple of good hits will take you out.
Yep.
Though I wouldn't say this is some Dark Soulsy thing where you're taking out at just a stiff breeze, even at high tiers. On the other hand, I do like that we have the good old slingshot. And the approach I'd probably take when it comes to ammo is regular ammo is unlimited, non-regular ammo is not. So for example, arrows unlimited, explosive arrows no. But when it comes to armor, heavier armor is going to inflict disadvantage. And armor has a value from 0 to 3, so that's how much soak it does. Some of it can protect from hot or cold. Putting on armor requires a number of rounds equal to its value plus 1. This includes the time needed to remove the armor you are wearing. And a few accessories. A paraglider, the good old grappling hook, and a surfboard. which interesting.
Hmm.
Let's see, we also have a durability optional rule, which, personally speaking, you're not going to see me use that. But with durability, each time your weapon gets damaged for any reason, roll a d12. If the result is higher than its durability, the weapon breaks and cannot be repaired. If it's lower than the durability, reduce the durability by 1. Your weapon gets damaged when you score a critical failure, you willingly hit hard to repeat a damage roll, or a monster makes you drop it. Hitting hard, after a successful attack with a weapon, you can choose to willingly damage that weapon to repeat the damage roll. You can only do this once per attack and must keep the new result. Like, I get it, and if somebody is a big fan of Breath of the Wild, I could see them doing that. I'm just not doing it. Because I hate weapon durability. I hate equipment durability in general. Doubly so in action games.
Hmm.
Uh,
Like, on the one hand, I can kind of see the amusement of it, especially if that's the kind of play style the players like.
mm-hmm.
I'm not really much for it.
Yep. So then we do have food and potions. Bless you.
Sorry.
Eating food or drinking a potion is a free action.
Hmm.
You can only consume one food and one potion before being full. After you take a rest or short rest, you can eat or drink again. Consuming additional food or potions before resting does not grant any bonus. Each one takes up an inventory slot. I'm not sure how I feel about the whole only one food and potion before being full. But since you can get it back through a short rest, I'm willing to tolerate it a little bit. Then they go into a few common food and potions. Or you can brew. Now, this is what I wanted to see because I have a very love-hate relationship when it comes to crafting.
Hmm.
So you need ingredient. So to craft, you need ingredients and components. Ingredients for food, components for potions.
Okay, so that's what the components are.
Mm-hmm. Every ingredient and component is represented by a die and has one of the following properties. Healthy restores hearts and removes status effects. Invigorating restores stamina and grants modifiers. Spicy keeps you warm. Refreshing keeps you cool.
I'm sure when it gets fully released, they'll have more, but
Mhm.
interesting.
Some ingredients and components have multiple properties. For example, grapes are 1d10 healthy and refreshing. When you use those materials as main ingredients for your food and potions, you can only choose one of their properties. Some materials don't have properties and can only be used as side ingredients or components. In addition, you can always use fruit, vegetables, and mushrooms as side ingredients for your recipes, and you can use any component as side components when brewing potions. And when it comes to foraging, you can attempt to get materials for this. You would make a ability roll to see if you find anything. On a success, roll a 1d20 to determine what ingredient or component you find. On a critical success, you roll twice. On a critical failure, you attract monsters or other trouble.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes, you can buy ingredients. In cold places, spicy ingredients are rare and cost double. And the same goes for refreshing ingredients where it's hot. I do like the hot and cold that we've got here.
Why is it a charisma roll?
Hmm?
Sorry. I was looking, I was kind of like reading along things and I just kind of went a little fast. Sorry.
So see, getting fruit and vegetables is a perception roll. Meat and eggs is also perception. Getting fish is an agility roll. Getting mushrooms is a knowledge roll. Getting critter components is a perception roll.
Makes sense.
And same thing with monster parts, which cannot be bought or sold.
Also makes sense.
Yep, the size of the foraging die depends on the monster's threat.
Okay, but I see the monster parts, and the only thing that comes to mind is like the dragon parts song from Pete's Dragon.
Also, I'm glad that they don't have monster blood in that. We don't want a repeat of that incident.
Not again. Not again. Not again.
Now, when it comes to cooking, you choose the ingredients. You make a charisma roll to test your cooking skills. Odd, but okay. Roll on the effect table to determine the food's effects, and then produce 1d4 portions of food.
Like, are you performatively cooking? Like,
yeah, I'm not sure why the charisma roll is there. But
why charisma?
For the cooking pool, you start with choosing a main ingredient. You can put up to 5 units of it in the pan. For each unit, add 1 die to your ingredient pool. The property of the main ingredient will determine the effect of the food. That's why they have the die size for each of the components. All right, I see what we're going with.
Yeah,
After each main ingredient, you can add up to 5 side ingredients. These don't add die, they just add a +1. If you want, you can add up to 5 units of a second main ingredient. Food made with 2 main ingredients of the same property has a single, more powerful effect. If food made with 2 main ingredients with different properties have multiple, less powerful effects. Then...
Okay.
So the cap is 15 ingredients. Then you make a charisma roll to see how you handle the ingredients. After all, cooking is an art form. I guess? Still not sure how charisma factors into this.
I'm very confused.
If you succeed, proceed to the next step. On a critical success, add +10. If you fail, remove half the dice from your ingredient pool. If you lower it to 0 dice or score a critical failure, you lose your ingredient pool and make a slop, a somewhat disgusting food that restores 1 heart.
Disgusting.
And roll on the effect table. If your pool has 2 properties, divide the result in half. Then you make 1d4 portions of food. And we have a few examples. So I can see how this is going to work. And the reason for the die pool is the higher die pool you have, the better potential results you can get. Unless you decide to double down, in which case you are putting a hard cap on what you can get. I think the charisma roll is the only thing that bugs us.
Yeah, like... The only way charisma would work, technically, in my mind, is if it's... Bless you.
Sorry.
Is if it's performative cooking. Like, you are making food for survival purposes. You're not, like, putting something up on the gram or, like, doing it in front of an audience. The only audience is the people waiting to be fed, which is your party.
Oh, yeah.
So, why charisma?
Now, when it comes to brewing potions, it works in a similar way. But you're using a knowledge roll instead of a charisma roll.
That makes sense. But, like, I wouldn't mind if both of them were knowledge rolls, in all honesty.
Yeah. Though, with potions, you do have to sacrifice a component to act as the base. It doesn't grant effect or die and doesn't count against the maximum components. I don't see why that's necessary.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Hmm. Uh, so then we have the different color types. Identifying potions is a knowledge roll. Okay, makes sense. If you roll a critical success on the knowledge roll to brew, you add +10 to the pool. If you fail the knowledge roll, remove half the dice. If you score a critical failure, you instead create a mishap. And then roll d12 to see what happens with the spell. Not the spell, the potion. Like, I get what it's going for, but I don't see the... Both cooking and potions have one weird thing that kind of holds it back. With cooking, I don't see why charisma is the role that's used. With potions, I'm not sure why the base is needed. Especially since they're both very much mirrors of each other in terms of how the system works. So, is this a crafting system that annoys me? Nope, not this time. This one I can actually put my stamp on. Oh. Now, when it comes to elements and spells, our next chapter, each spirit, and the spirits are the core of the magic system, embodies one of the 8 elements and rules over it.
Okay. So a rock, paper, scissoring again.
Yep. So fire beats ice, ice beats wind, wind beats earth, earth beats thunder, thunder beats water, water beats fire, darkness beats light, light beats darkness. We've played Mega Man games in the past, we know how this works. So if you're, when it comes to dealing elemental damage, if it's weak to it, does double damage. If it's resistant, half damage. If it's immune, no damage. Creatures with an elemental affinity have a link with a specific element to which they are immune. They're also weak against the previous element in the wheel and resistant against the next one. And we do have the wheel here, which is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. I do like the graphic for it.
Oh yeah. There is a master element in the form of Twilight. Twilight is considered the master element and therefore is strong against all elements. Every creature is considered weak against Twilight. No power is capable of dealing Twilight damage, but for their legends, the GM can create custom Twilight weapons and spells to help the champions in their fight against the Scourge. Twilight reminds me of almighty damage in Mega 10.
Mhm.
Which was also really hard to get.
Yeah.
Oh.
Megadolon!
Mm-hmm. So spells are in the form of arcane spells, blessings, and common spells. I guess common spells would be the equivalent of cantrips that any side can take.
Looks like it.
And then
Oh,
there...
speaking
Actually, never
of
mind. There are
cantrips.
cantrips. Which is a different... Looks like that's a different thing entirely. These are more narrative things that don't have a mechanical impact.
Mm.
So with casting spells, it is always an action. Spells that do damage are always attacks. And if their range is near or far, they are considered ranged attacks. You cannot cast while wearing any kind of armor other than clothing or while holding a shield. And you can't cast under silence.
Huh. So you can't really be a spell sword then. Unless you're okay with not wearing armor.
Mm-hmm.
Unless... Huh.
Yeah. I could see homebrewing a kind of mastery way that that is and isn't a third way. Basically, techniques that you can get if you have the matching ways available. That is one way you could do the spell sword, but you do have to work for it. Uh, and then, let's see, duration. Some spells are instant, some take up rounds, some take until time passes. You can cast each of your spells once between rests. After you cast a spell, it becomes expended, and you need to spend 1 stamina in order to cast it again. All your spells recharge after a rest. Taking a short rest allows you to recharge a single expended spell. If you score 1 on an ability roll to cast a spell, it does not get expended. If you spent stamina to cast the spell, you immediately get it back.
Nice.
And so this is I know this would be borderline Vancian, but given how quick combat is going to be taking place, it doesn't feel like it. Oh, and look at that. There's Fireball for you.
I don't care how small the room is, I cast Fireball.
And
Okay. Oh,
I guess
Fun
one
spooks.
thing that I can't help but notice is arcane spells use either knowledge or will, it looks like, unless they don't use a roll at all. Whereas blessings looks like it uses a different setup.
Will or Charisma,
Yep.
which both make sense in a way.
Yeah, it does go a little bit of a way to help differentiate. It also means you don't
common
have
spell. Build. Oh, go
Yep.
ahead, sorry.
means you don't have that one spell that one skill that is the casting one.
Mm-hmm.
Although with this art here, it makes me think, okay, is there going to be an option for doing Spellblade? Because it sure looks like it.
Yeah. Magic armor. Magic hand. Magic shield. Magic weapon. Okay, there we go.
Hmm. Looks like we answered our question there.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to legendary items, these are extremely rare. All of them are worth 15 red zen, but are rarely available for sale. It is recommended to apply durability rules to some of them to make them more precious. Not doing that.
Nope. I'm sure the Lord of the Rings would have been lovely if the One Ring had durability.
Mm-hmm. All magic items have the magic feat followed by the name of the spells that they cast. For example, a sword with the magic fireball feat allows its wielder to cast fireball. To cast a spell from a magic item, you need to spend 1 stamina, and you can't be under silence. Armor and shields do not prevent you from casting through a magic item.
Oh, Monk,
So,
I do apologize. I have to get going.
no worries. I think we can. I think we are close to finished. I realized
Sorry.
I kind of got ahead of myself. But when it comes to the rest, let me see if there's anything that I missed. We do have the world of Radia, so we have the setting problem. But before we wrap it up, what do you think of Twilight Sword just from the beta that we've seen?
So, I am cautiously optimistic. There's a few things that I am very hesitant about. Part and partial that crafting system, but also like I'm wonder if they're going to have other ways upon release, not necessarily one for ones with D&D classes, but just like other play styles.
Mm-hmm.
I understand going for a theme, but also like There has to be people who just want to wreck things with their bare fists and legs, or just wrestling moves as opposed to using weapons.
Hmm.
Though they do have claw weapons, which they barely touched, but I can see that being utilized for a
Yeah.
fist character. Just saying.
Yeah.
Um, but aside from that, it has a lot of character. I do like it. It definitely knows what it wants, and it's giving it to us.
Hmm.
So if it can fix the crafting system and give a little more detail for some other things, I think I would raise it above cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. I am. I do think that there's a stronger foundation here than what I saw with Justice League. There aren't
Yeah, definitely.
between the two. This is definitely the one that's for that doesn't have as much that annoys me, and
Hmm.
I know for a fact I'm not going to have the same problem here that I had with Fabula Ultima because of the fact that it has a sample setting.
Hmm.
Yes, I know some people are gonna use their own settings, yada yada yada. I get that. I've talked about that. But having a base is important. If you're not going agnostic like I did, have a base. This
Yes.
does. And if exploration is going to be a big part of the mechanics, then it even more so needs a base. And I can I see a lot of Zelda in this, and
Yes.
while there is some bits of early FF, um, I'd say the this is a lot more lethal than you would expect a game of this style to be, in terms of
Yes.
how damage can add up very quickly. I think the only thing that might bug me is the whole you can only cast the spell once before you have to spend stamina, because you don't have a lot of stamina. So if that approach is going to be done, stamina needs to be something that you can get back very quickly.
All the little pig things have their own fucking section.
Of course they do. But that is going to wrap it up for this particular episode. I will be back with the Hangover Shit Show tomorrow. I'm going to be doing the final touches on the playlist tonight,
Hmm.
and of course, this Thursday, I hope to see you again for more of Far West, because we got that on the pipeline.
Which I can't wait for.
Hmm. We're actually going to get into kung fu techniques on Thursday.
Our fists will be fast as lightning.
I'm not doing the song. I'm not doing the song.
I guess it is a little bit frightening.
Mm.
In any case,
Yep.
take care, everyone.
Yep. Stay frosty.